Hey everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my channel and my studio. Today I have a really fun card project using layering stencils and a super cool alpha die set. To see that project, which you can see here, stick around. The process video is coming up next. Here's a look at the products I'll be using today, and I'm starting out here with this beautiful layering stencil, and this is called Summer Blooms. And we've got 4 layers, and I love when the package shows what you're going to do because this can help you choose your colors before you get started. I also have these fancy dies, and I love an alphabet set, and this is called Alphabet Fancy Dies, and oh yes, letters, sans serif, hello, I'm all in. I've pulled some inks today, and I'm going to be ink blending with some inks from Concord and Ninth. I thought this was kind of a fun combination to try. I have my cardstock already cut. This is also from Concord and Ninth. So let me get set up for stenciling. I'm going to stencil in my MISTI today because I love how easy it is just to push everything into the corner. I'll just put a tiny bit of tape there just so that doesn't shift. And here's the thing, I want to look for, it doesn't really matter, you could flip it either way just as long as you keep going in the same direction. But I'm going to start in order. I'll just do the greenery first. And as you can see, I cut my paper a tiny bit larger than it needed to be. And of course, I'm going to trim this panel down. But right now, I'm just going to get started with some ink blending. So I am going to start with my Lemongrass. And let me grab a brush. I'm going to take whatever I was using last time, and you can see it was definitely a different green than lemongrass. This is how I clean my brushes. I don't really wash them ever. I used to back in the olden days, like 3 years ago, but now I just keep going over my paper towel until it's good to go. So I'll do that with each brush before I use them off camera. I just wanted to show you that because it's literally the easiest thing to do. I've got a little piece of paper here to tap off on because I want this to be light and pretty. I don't want to go too heavy on this. And I'm using, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to flip it this way because I don't want to get my hand in this, but these pads are brand new, so I want this to be nice and light. And so that's what I'm going to do. We're just going to do a light lemongrass in each one of these leaves. Such a pretty color. And of course, if you go heavier in some areas and get a little shadowing, that's nice too. I'm just going to get right up there. Maybe a little deeper at the base of each one, but not much. That is layer 1. And usually what I do with my stencils, I'll go take this right to the sink and rinse it off. Let me do that and then we'll move on to the next color. Bring in my next stencil and I'm going to be using the Avocado. And again, just always check when you have layering stencils that you are using the side that has whatever the etching is facing up. And now, I think I'll give this a quick brush, but not much because I'm going with a darker color, but I'm just going to use the same brush. And this is Avocado. So see how it's very dark, and I don't want that much on here, so we're just tapping, and then I'll come in. It's still very juicy, and just go very lightly. Well, actually, it could be a little darker. It's going to give our greenery some oomph. Look at that. Oh, that's really something. Okay. And that's okay too. It's darker than I thought it would be, but that I kind of like. Okay. Also, these colors dry back and they smooth. So what might seem super dark at first will not be as dark. I can just pick that up off the stencil too. They won't be as dark. Avocado layer is on, and now we will lift, and that is the second layer. Next, we're going to use the third layer and Pink Lemonade. I'm going to flip this over and load up my brush. This is a really gorgeous, gorgeous pink. Tap a little off and let's just bring on the pink lemonade. Now I am using a light hand, right? I'm not going really heavy with this. But it is such a gorgeous pink. Oh. Before I take this stencil off, however, I am going to bring my next color in, the Honeysuckle. I just want to blend a little of the Honeysuckle, let's see here, into the center. And you know what? I might even use a smaller brush. Got an even smaller brush here. Because sometimes I just want to have the center, the center. This isn't going to add a ton, but it's going to add just a little to the centers of these flowers. And just go out a little, right? Just a little bit into the base of the petals. Oh, I got a little dark there. That's all right. I can just go over it with my brush and just sort of blend that back out. Got everything? Yes, I did. Lift up. Ooh, is that pretty? Love it. Okay, and now I'll move on to the final stencil. Got the fourth layer in place, and this will be the Honeysuckle. I think, yeah, let's take a look at how that looks on the... I'll go a little darker with the Honeysuckle just to create that contrast. And again, don't worry about going to the outer edge of your paper because, you know, we're gonna be doing something with this. We're gonna be cropping. A little crop down, all right? And then just bring in our flowers. I still hold my stencil when I'm blending. I think it's just sort of force of habit. But I don't want my stencil to lift because I don't have it super taped into place. I just have it pushed into the corner. And come up here. All right. And I almost wonder if I should bring in one more color just for the centers. I'm thinking. But you know what? Actually, all I have to do here, I'll just take this and go a little darker in the center here. It'll be very tone on tone subtle, but you can always do that with your inks. Just for a little, right? Just for a little in there. I'm just kind of going for a more subtle look, and then I'll just blend over that. All right, I think that's it. Darker there, darker there, darker there. And are we ready for the final reveal? This is what I love about layering stencils, right? You just get all this together and it creates a little magic like that. Oh! And the cool thing is, if you wanted to go back in and you wanted to do any other, like I want to put more pink inside the centers of those, although you see a little bit in there, you can do that because it's just popping it right into place. So as soon as you know you're happy with the results, you're ready to move on. I pulled a piece of matching cardstock to the darker pink. This is Honeysuckle. And I thought, here's something I do sometimes. When I get a set like this, I don't always, and let's see if I can do this, I don't always cut them apart because sometimes with letters, I don't want to lose letters. And if I don't have a magnet ready, I will often just keep them together, okay? Because a lot of times what you can do is you can run a whole batch through and just stick them in a pocket and you're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through my die cut machine to get a full complement of letters so I can figure out maybe what I want to spell, knowing full well I'm going to probably need more of one or the other, but let me cut that out real quick. Now I have a whole slew of letters. Look at that. Okay, there you go. It's coming out. And look at what a cute, I mean, and these will easily pop out, right? Well, sometimes I like to use my, the little end of a tool, right? This is a little score and place tool, but that way you can get your letters out quickly and then you can figure out what are you going to spell. Also, I'm going to build up some dimension under whatever I decide to spell, oops, with white cardstock. So, or I could do, well, I could do foam too, but you know what? We'll see. We'll see. Let me figure out what it's going to say. Actually, I like the idea of doing hey you, but I want to show you this because this is a really quick way too. If you want to keep your letters together, take your little scrap, get the extra letter that you need, right? And just run it through like that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out that single letter, and then I'm going to cut out a few more to build up some dimension out of white cardstock. Actually, I wanted to show you something on these plates. It's so funny. Someone had asked me if my green plates ever flake, and they never did until today. So when they start to flake, it is time to cut them apart and flip them. So that's what I do. I'll cut this apart, release the tape, and flip. You know, I've been using this sandwich for a really long time on my Gemini Junior, and the thing that I love about it is the clear plates just don't warp. They just are staying nice and straight. And I do replace them eventually because, you know, they can't always just, they don't last forever, right? But I'll take the tape off all sides. Then here, I flip this over so it's now on this side. And I will tape that into place so now I have a smooth cutting surface. Just wanted to show you that. And I just use packing tape for this. It seems to work great. This has a little warp, but that's fine because now it's just getting flipped over and retaped. Show you how I'm going to do all of the letters. I'm just going to use a little liquid glue here. Just swirl on like this. I already did one off camera, but I thought, you know, if you've never done this before, you might want to see it. Or you might not, but I'm going to pop this here, like that, pick it up. It doesn't matter if it, you know, whatever, flips around like that. And then I'm just going to wiggle it into the proper place here, right? So now we've got a nice E. And I could have been a little neater with that. Then again, more glue. I like to do this little swirly circle motion, but you can also just do little tiny dots. That's why I like these little squeeze bottles, because they allow you to get those little dots. And if you want to be more precise, I should have been more precise. Just take some tweezers like that, pick it up, and then again, wiggle, 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 hold it. Got to come over a little bit there. And then I'm going to do this for all of the letters in my greeting. So I'll do that off camera. Now that I've got some dimension on my letters, I have to figure out the crop. So I'm going to take one of my favorite sizes. This is 3 3/4 by 5. And I'm going to play around with the crop because what I'm not sure yet is exactly where I want my greeting to go, but I do know that I want to make sure that wherever the hey goes, which might be more like here, I need to make sure that the other part of the word lines up over here so that we get this common line that's kind of, if you imagine it being, here's this baseline and here's the top line, and that way hey you fits together beautifully. This is what's so fun about having dies to crop and figuring out your placement. So I think, let's see, actually kind of like this. And I'll go ahead and cut this panel out for the card. I've got a piece of the white Concord and 9th coordinating cardstock here, and I'm going to score this right at 5.5 to create a top folding note card. And this will fold down to be 4 1/4 by 5.5. I'll take my Teflon bone folder and give that a nice press. All right, going to tape this closed just so it stays perfectly flat while I am adhering my panel. And sometimes too, I'll even tape it to my, well, you know what? I could use my magnets, but my magnets throw my eye off. Let's see if I can, you know what? Just, you go with what you know. You know, you start crafting, you figure out some things that work for you. And one of my great luxuries in life is adhesion. Okay, now I already went ahead and put some foam tape on the back. We'll take that off. I don't know why I'm using my jewels and not my tools, but you know, it is what it is. I'm gonna look straight down over this, so forgive my head if it gets in the way a little bit. I just wanna see from side to side and make sure that goes on nice and straight. Oh, I love that framing margin. Oh, it's so pretty. I like this off to the side. Okay, so what I want to do here is as soon as I figure out exactly where the hay is going to go, I'm going to use my ruler to place the first two, and then I know I'll be able to easily place the rest. And I like this down here. I like it down at the bottom. And I actually do. Hey you is, well, I don't have any greetings that say that, but I do say it all the time. Hey you. And maybe we'll come up a little bit, right? Just a little, but not much. All right, that's the general placement. So swipe you off, and now all I have to do is put my ruler right here. And this is a little trick that I do sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I will just tape my ruler lightly into place. That way I know it's not going to move. And I'm going to leave that E right there. Okay. Get my liquid glue and placement. I did a video recently on a laser level, and you know what? T-squares work great. I'll put a card up for you if you want to see it because it's high tech. But I think doing rulers is great. So that's the story I'm going with. Sometimes we buy things, we don't use them. That's okay. But see here, you can butt this up and you're getting a nice straight position. And again, just swirl on the liquid glue or little dots. It's a great medium to adhere these sorts of things. You just have to give it time to dry. And you place your letters where you want them, so you're doing your own letter spacing. I don't really use the ruler for that. I just sort of eyeball it. You know what I mean? Because that's, you could use your ruler, but yeah, I think that looks good. And then I can lift that up and we'll place the Y, which will be pretty easy to line up. Because that, you just line up with the top. Right, like that. And I suppose if you wanted to see are the tops of the letters lined up, you could just do that too. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Look at that. I can push this up a little. Oh, come here, Kath. Getting a little wild. There we go. There we go. Come on over. That's why I like liquid glue, because it is forgiving. Oh, that looks great. All right, then we just work our way backwards. There we go, like that. So those line up nicely. And this too, I can use my ruler for the bottom just to make sure that's straight. Yeah, that looks really good. All right. The fun thing about alpha dies is whatever you want to say in a card, you can say. Let me think about some embellishments. I think I'll just add a few shiny sequins. These are the Sparkle All the Way from This Calls for Confetti, just around the Hey You. And again with the liquid glue, add a little dot. just a couple more. We're getting there. Boop. And boop. And that is my finished card project. I love a layering stencil that gives you gorgeous backgrounds quickly. All you do is change up the colors and you're going to get a different look every time. But I also love a good solid die set for alphas. There's lowercase. There is also an uppercase for this as well. This actually matches the lowercase. I just didn't want to do an all cap one, but I do have both. So it's very cool to have those. And yeah, I really enjoy how this turned out. I hope you did too. Thanks so much for watching today. You can find links to all of the products I used in today's video in the YouTube description box. If you're not a subscriber, I would love to have you become one, so hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video today, be sure to hit the like button as well. I'll see you back here with another card project soon. To see a few more card projects featuring layering stencils, check out the 2 thumbnails I have linked for you below, and I'll see you in those videos.